Good afternoon, everybody. I had a lovely conversation the other day with Father Terry's brother, Tony, who is older than Father and somewhat infirm, so therefore not able to come and join us for his funeral. And we've never met face to face, but he's a wonderful man, lovely man, and it's always nice to hear from him when he phones. And we were talking about Father, of course we were, and he said to me, I see you and he were really rather rebels, weren't you? And I said, well, what do you mean by that? Oh, he said, you didn't always do things the way that everybody else does things. And I said, well, that's true, but hopefully that doesn't make us rebels, because we're only trying to do the right thing. And he smiled. I said, we're probably more dreamers than rebels, really. And it led me to thinking about dreams and dreamers. If you call a person a dreamer, it usually means that they're in some sort of fantasy world of their own and not really keyed into modern life or anything that's going on around them. They seem to live in this incredible world. Of course, that is fed these days by social media. And particularly during lockdown, where people got nothing else to think about, and so they had all these notions, and some of them were a little bizarre, I have to say. And of course, we think of dreams or dreamers with regard to sleep. We talk about a peaceful dream or a happy dream. I don't know about you, but I can very rarely remember my dreams, and the ones that I can remember, that's only for a brief period of time. And often if it's something quite bizarre where you've got different parts of your life coming together, it's very, very strange. But sometimes people say, well, I was having a lovely dream when I woke up. And on the other hand, of course, there are nightmares where people wake up in a cold sweat, or they are dreaming about something dreadful that has happened to them or might happen to them. And so there are all these different notions of what we understand by dream. Our sense, myself and Father Terry, is to do with not living in a fantasy world, but definitely living in the real world, but having a hope or an aspiration for the future, even the present, that people might change and things might change to make the world a better place for us, to help us to see things that we couldn't or wouldn't see. And so we are dreamers in that sense, both Father and myself, and Father Brian as well, too, I might add. And we do have aspirations, we do have hopes. I remember probably the most famous speech about a dream was that wonderful speech of Dr. Martin Luther King to 250,000 people outside the Capitol Hill in Washington. I have a dream today, he said, and I've got a CD of it, and it's absolutely remarkable hearing. His voice is incredible. It's not shouting, it's calm, and it's just so moving. I have a dream today that all men will be judged not by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character. And when you think about what's been happening recently with the so-called Black Lives Matter movement, those statements of Dr. King, they gain a new poignancy, don't they? But as I say, we all have dreams. Our children dream of what they want to be when they grow up. Young lovers, when they first fall in love, they dream of a life together and of having a family, having a home, having a job and a reasonable standard of living, having friends and having all sorts. And it's great when they share those dreams with each other. It's a wonderful thing. And it's a good thing that we still have those dreams. Sometimes we know that those dreams can turn sour, that there can be a fallout, divorce, tragedy, or bereavement, and all those dreams are shattered. And that is a very painful experience. And I think that during the last few months, very many people's dreams were shattered one way or another, whether it was to do with losing someone in their family to COVID-19, or losing their job or their livelihood because of it, or whatever. But there's been an awful lot of shattered dreams about these last few months. So what are a priest's dreams then? What are those dreams? I find myself that the dreams I get in the sense of aspirations and hopes usually happens in the car or very early in the morning when I'm wide awake, trying to stay asleep at 4 or 5 in the morning, and just heads racing and so on, and you get dreams and you get thoughts at that point. I'm sure sometimes, at least I hope it's true, that the good Lord puts them there and gives you that sense of vision, because from a dream comes a vision. It's not just something that remains in the clouds or in the back of your mind. It's a vision that you want to implement. That's what a priest's dreams are. Our first dreams, of course, are to have our family, our parish families around us at Holy Mass, with everybody engaged and involved, with children taking part, and all of us caring for and loving each other, being good to each other and bringing delight to each other, especially those who are troubled, in need, or elderly or infirm. So that's one of the dreams, and Father Terry had those dreams as well. I know we used to talk about it a lot. But these dreams, they inspire us and engage us, and they frame our pastoral strategy. How we do things and what we do is based on what our dream is. And I know sometimes you see some of the things that I've been doing and you think, whatever is he doing that for? And all I'd say to you is just try to look a bit beyond the obvious. Try to look a bit beyond the obvious. Because many of those strategies or events that we plan, or different things in the parish life, are to do with implementing the dream of a loving and caring community gathered around our Lord. And it isn't always obvious how you do this, because you do have to change how people see things and do things in order for those dreams to become a reality. And yeah, I've had a few fulfilled dreams in my time. I remember on the 16th of March 1976, I got a letter from Bishop James, which effectively marked the beginning of what we now call SPAND. And through those 44, nearly 45 years now of work with SPAND, many dreams have come. I remember standing on the towpath on the National Water Sports Centre in the middle of 1980 with a friend who was a production manager for a commercial radio station. And we were standing there as I was working at the regatta, the Rhone regatta, with some of the young people. And I said to my friend Chris, I said, this water sports centre, it'd be a good place to have some sort of sponsored event, wouldn't it? And he looked at me and he said, I said, would you do that sort of thing, don't you, with Radio Trent? He said, yeah. I said, we could do, next year's the International Year of Disabled People. We could do a sponsored walk round here for disabled charities to mark that year. And if we did it at night, it might be a bit different, and we could use this place. And he was just looking at me. And thereby started what was called the Trent Walk. And it was an overnight 26-mile walk through the outskirts of Nottingham, including the Water Sports Centre, which took place 10 times over 18 years and made £300,000 for the charities. And I did it every time myself, pushing the walk secretary as a lady in a wheelchair to whom I was deeply devoted. And it was the most amazing thing, absolutely amazing thing. And when I went to Mickleover, and we kept doing it, and I was trying to encourage the people from Mickleover to do it, and two chaps had been walking all night, I'll never forget it, and they were about 2.5 miles from the finish, but they had no idea where they were. And one turned to the other and said, God, our last parish priest only walked to the chip shop. But it was a great thing. And another dream was what's called the Dance of the Light in the year 2000, when Spand did this incredible rendering of our Lord's life to Riverdance. It was called the Dance of the Light. It was just amazing. When I told them I was going to teach them to dance, they thought I was completely mad. Well, you would, wouldn't you, if you looked at the likes of me? But the purpose was to bring people together, 169 of us, to present this story as people with learning difficulties and friends, to dance it out. And it was just amazing. And all sorts of things, when I write a play, it always starts in my head as a dream. Oh, you could do that, you could do this, you could do the other. Whether it's a musical like Mother Mary or the Balm of Mercy, sometimes I can pinpoint the day when it started. And the Mother Mary started in a campsite in Italy at 11 o'clock one night, when a teacher friend said to me, I don't suppose you'd mind helping me with my Christmas production. And I said, Jane, it's the 8th of August, what are you talking about? She said, oh yeah, she said, I thought about doing the Christmas story to Mamma Mia, Mamma Mary. Oh no. But that's how it started. And then the Balm of Mercy, where that started as well. It started in Tim and Ali Broom's kitchen when we were having a bit of tea one night with Father John St. John. And I said to Tim, he said, you've gone a bit quiet. And I said, yeah, 3 words have come into my head that I'm going to live to regret. And he said, what are they? And I said, Andrew Lloyd Webber. And that was the start of the Balm of Mercy, which was, again, a wonderful thing. And I remember the very first day I came here to see Father John, before I was officially appointed as the parish priest. And I walked around the property, and I looked at that part of the field at the back, and I thought to myself, that's where they need a new parish centre here. And that was the beginning of what we now have as our parish centre. There were plans to do one before, but they were rather unusual and not very practical. The bricks were all circular, and it was an architect's sort of folly, really. But seeing what goes on there now, seeing people together, seeing the goodness that's done and the loneliness that's healed in that place, which is exactly what was supposed to happen, is a great thing. It's a great thing. So there's nothing wrong with being a dreamer, of dreaming things. The thing is, though, you can only begin to bring those dreams into being if you've got other people who are willing to share it with you. That's the thing. Because if you haven't, you're stuck, and when I'm sort of trying to write a play, I think of the particular young people in our group and think about now that person would suit that part, that person would suit another part because they look like that person and they seem to, or an adult, or that person would do that. And so as you go on, you're sort of thinking about the different actors you've got, and then you take a chance with one or two, and often it works out spectacularly well. And that's how you bring that dream into reality. But there can be no dream without others wanting to share it, and not only being willing to share it, but to work to make it happen. So here I am sitting in front of this camera, talking to you on a Wednesday afternoon, which some of you apparently appreciate. Thank you very much. But that would never have happened if it wasn't for Mark, because he's the one that does all the technical side. And so I lean on Mark. He's in the room somewhere listening to this. I would never be able to fulfill so many of the dreams that I've had without knowing that Mark was there, or Marina to do things, or so many other parishioners to build stages, to put up scenery, to sort out costumes, or whatever it is in our community. You can't have a tea for all our retired parishioners if there's people not willing to help with making the tea or doing the transport. There's so many things that in our life together, if we don't share it, then we can't do it. And there's a great joy in sharing it. There's a great joy in sharing a dream, like a young couple getting married, sharing their dreams with each other and with their family. There's a great joy in it, and even though we're in a rather sad and difficult time here, it's still the time to seek that dream, to follow that dream, if you like, and to work hard to bring it about. We are at a critical moment, irrespective of the pandemic, the COVID-19. We're at a critical moment in the church. In many ways, the church has lost a lot of its credibility, and that's to do with being over-authoritarian in the past. We all know about the abuse, which is so terrible, but also there seems to be sometimes an unwillingness to engage and to really come to terms with this COVID-19 pandemic and try to find the ways of working around it so that people can return to some sort of normality and that they can learn to live with the fear and with the anxiety. And so it's a critical time. This is the time for us to live the dream, as they say, but not in any nebulous or fantasy way, but in a real way, because there is no joy like it when those dreams finally come to pass.